Welcome to the Orozco Body and Mind podcast. I'm your host, Chris Orozco, and today we have a special guest, somebody who I call, one of my best friends. She's somebody I go to for wisdom and inspiration, and it's really awesome to see her glowing and just has this amazing personality, amazing knowledge about life. So welcome to the show, Karuna Hanau.
Hey, Chris. Well, that was a very nice intro. Thank you so much. I also consider you my very best friend. You really are quite an amazing guy, and I'm very lucky to have met you. Really,
Yeah,
thank you so
so
much.
I honestly I wanted to talk a little bit about how we met, and obviously, like we both go to this meditation center located in Cliffside Park,
Hmm.
and I'll talk a little bit about my experience at the center. Before the center, I was somebody who, had was struggling with a lot of habits, was kind of struggling with drinking, was struggling with maybe smoking a little bit, with just healthy eating. And once I got to the center, our teacher is obviously somebody who is just one of the best men, if not the best man I've ever met.
Yeah.
But he's helped me transform my life in a lot of ways. Not only my life, but I think your life and a lot
Yeah.
of people who have come to the center. So talk a little bit about your experience. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, and
Okay.
then I want you to talk a little bit about your experience at the center, and kind of describe some of the things you have been through and have changed about your life in a positive way.
Sure. So I met Albert and the folks at the meditation center in 2005. So it was 21 years ago, very long time ago. It was in my early 20s, just trying to figure things out. I guess there was something inside of me that always said, like, there's something more than, just going to work, sleeping, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like there has to be something more in life. And I grew up in a Catholic church, went through all the sacraments, did all the things, but there was just something missing. And in 2005, my aunt invited me to go to the meditation center, and I went. I participated for maybe a little under a year. I went to a big retreat in Costa Rica, which was absolutely life changing. And then I came back, but I guess I was in my 20s. I was like still trying to figure things out myself. What should I do with my life? All this and that. And so I stepped away for a little while, thought that the center had closed, and was just a few years passed, and I was in a really, really, really bad space. Like what you were saying, I wasn't, at that point in my life, I wasn't really like heavy into drinking or anything like that. For me, it was more like emotional. I was pregnant with my second kid, was just having a really hard time in general in life. And again, I got that feeling again where I was like, I need something more. Like there's something that is missing in my life. And I happened to go by where I remember the center used to be. I wasn't looking for the center. I was actually looking for the pizza place that was on the corner. Go figure. It's not there anymore, but we love Vinny's. And I saw that the center had a sign. And so I called, and it happened to still be Albert. And he said that he was doing Eckhart Tolle talks, like they were watching Eckhart Tolle videos. And I had just finished The Power of Now, which is an Eckhart Tolle book. And I was like, that's perfect. And it was on Wednesdays. So from then on, 2008, I started going. And I had my daughter December 2008. And I was like, listen, obviously I have to take some time off. I got to go have my baby, but I'll be back. And I remember him saying to me, oh, well, we'll see you if you come back. And he admitted to me later that he didn't think I would come back. He was like, I really hoped that you would, but I didn't think that you would. I figured life would just take its toll and you wouldn't. Anyway, this long story short, been there ever since. And I guess the synthesis of everything at the center is there's no one telling you what to do, right? I feel like in most, if we want to call it religions or most things, there's like, okay, well, you can go to a priest or you can go to a rabbi or you can go to a something and they'll tell you what your next steps are. Whereas with Albert, what he has always emphasized is the answers are inside of you. And so I'm going to give you tools for you to find those answers. And I think that's what's most attractive, or has been most attractive to me, that it's like no one is telling me what to do. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Nobody, right? I mean, maybe in the beginning you kind of feel like, oh, well, I want someone to help guide me. But I think it's more important the way that he moves. And I guess it's the way that he's always lived his own life. You know, it's not, he doesn't say, well, this person told me to do this and therefore I did it. It's like I was given this tool and I used it and it worked. And so having used that tool, now I can give it to other people. And I mean, we've been through the gamut of experiences. You know, we tried a little bit, we delved in like the plant medicine, which was really great for a lot of years, but now it's just really saturated. We do Zen, Japanese Zen meditation, and that's the silent meditation. We do retreats, we do international retreats, we do local retreats. So we do some stuff in New Jersey, we do some stuff in upstate New York. It really, you know, it depends. We try and be very dynamic. And it's also because we're trying to cater to so many different people and so many different personalities. So we want to be able to fit with everyone, you know, like just
Right.
kind of not really fit with everybody, but I guess be open enough that people don't feel like, oh, well, I wouldn't fit in there because I'm
Right.
this type of person, you know?
Yeah.
But really the foundation of all the work at the end of the day is meditation, you know?
Right.
So if somebody is looking to change their life, that's really the foundation. And we're just like, we really emphasize the importance of meditation. And what we say is it's our daily bread. If
Right.
you want to change your life, if you really want to figure out who you are, where you need to head, what the changes are you need to make in your life, then the foundation of all of that is going to come from a meditation practice. And that's what we say. You know, we have a foundation in Buddhist philosophy, so you know, we have classes where we learn about Buddhism, but it's not like we don't follow it as a religion. I wouldn't say
Right.
even that Buddhism is a religion necessarily. It's more of a way of life, right? How do you live your life? So we live our lives according to how we have been taught, the tools that we've been given. And I don't know if that's a very long-winded
No, dude.
explanation, but I don't know, is that
Yeah, that's, you know, that's
okay?
definitely, I mean, you definitely explained it, you know, the things that we do. And I wanted to talk a little bit about meditation because obviously, like, you know, I've only been meditating for 3 years. You're somebody who has more experience, I'm sure. I'm not sure exactly how many years, but you've done it for a lot more years. I go to meditation classes. We have meditation classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And obviously, there's some times where I'm like in so much pain, trying to relax, trying to relax my body and just breathe. But I want to, somebody, for example, who hears about meditation and, you know, obviously doesn't know how to start or what to do. Kind of explain it in the beginning stages of how somebody should, you know, sit down and what do they do? Because we hear meditation all the time. Meditation is thrown, guided meditation. So how should somebody learn about meditation? What are the steps?
Okay, so well, we have beginners meditation. It's on Wednesdays at 6:45 or 7 p.m., but we start a little earlier sometimes. And essentially, what a meditation if you would like to take on a meditation practice, the most important thing is to want to meditate. First of all, like not that somebody's making you do it, and then I would say. The best thing is to have somebody who has been meditating to guide you. I really think that that's first and foremost, because I think that a lot of people will use like a meditation app or they'll just, you know, sit in silence. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's no guidance as to, okay, now what should I do? Now I'm just sitting here and my mind is going crazy and I can't stop thinking. And people think that, okay, just because I'm sitting on a cushion and it's very expensive and, you know, I bought all the tools, so now what?
Right.
But of course, if you don't have access to somebody to guide you at the moment and you are really, really, really at the very beginning, I would say the best thing you can do is start really, really small. So don't try and sit down for 40 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour. I think that that's a very lofty goal. And what's going to happen is, like you were saying, you've been sitting for 3 years and
Yeah.
still you're like, oh my God, I'm in pain. I
Yeah.
want to get up. I want to move. So imagine somebody that's just starting out. So what happens is you get discouraged very easily if you start on such a lofty goal. So maybe start with 5 minutes a day.
Mhm.
Maybe get yourself a cushion, because if you have like you can create a little space. It doesn't have to be like a room where you have all your meditation things, just a small cushion or something that you dedicate just to when you're going to do your practice of
Mhm.
sitting. And you start with 5 minutes a day, and you could do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, or if you
Mhm.
think that that's too much to start, then just 5 minutes either in the morning or in the evening. And
Right.
you start to develop this habit, right? Everything has to become habitual.
Yep.
And then eventually it's like we're drinking water, like we're
Right.
you know breathing. It's
Right.
just every day.
Once you
um,
don't meditate, you start missing it.
yeah, you start to miss it. Absolutely, absolutely. And in the beginning, there's no goal really, but I talk to a lot of people that say, okay, but how do I stop thinking? And just get that out of your mind. I mean, that sounds a little silly, but get that out of your mind, because it's not about, you're not sitting there to stop thinking, because your mind has been going. It's like there's this reference that's used of like a train. So if you think about like a train that's coming hundreds of miles an hour and just going, 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 and to stop it, what kind of force is going to take to stop that? It's the same
Right.
thing as our mind. Our mind has been going for years and years and years and years. We can't expect for it to stop just because we
Right.
say so. So the thing that we can focus on in the beginning is our breath. So, we can find a space that's quiet, that we're not going to be interrupted for those 5 or 10 minutes that we're going to be sitting, and then just really focus on the breath. And
Mhm.
it's going to be very difficult, even though 5 minutes sounds like it's going to go in a flash. It's not. It's going to
Right.
be
Right.
really, really difficult, but we have to have that sense of purpose and our strong will. And if we keep on it, we'll get better and better and better. And just
Mhm.
we focus on our breath. We focus on the in of our breath. We focus on the exhale. And
Mhm.
as long as we're doing that, our mind will begin to calm. And then eventually we can get, after 5 minutes and we see we can do it, then we can go up to 10 minutes, then maybe 15, and then maybe 20. And you'll start to see the benefits of a meditation practice once you get to about 20 minutes, because that's where they say that if you can sit in silence for 20 minutes without moving, without, paying attention to the thoughts, and there's different tools and things that we can
Mhm.
discuss about that maybe we won't get into today, but maybe you can share on your podcast, or just
Yeah.
in the different ways that you share things, some ways that people can do an actual step-by-step meditation practice, and then if they're close by, of course, they can come visit us. But they say that after about 20 minutes of sitting in silence, that's when your body begins to feel the benefits. That's where you begin to have true relaxation of your body.
Mhm.
And so that's where, all the studies that are being done on meditation and the monks, and how they can really change the physiology of their body, not just feel more relaxed because you haven't been moving, but really there's a physiological change
Right.
in your body
Mm.
because of it. But so,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That was very well explained. That was, yeah, I can remember obviously like the first like few months I was in like, it wasn't easy because I jumped right in it, but obviously somebody who wants to like take it proper steps,
yep,
obviously starting with little and getting into that, like you said, the habit of meditating, getting used to how your body feels sitting down, and eventually you could build, like you said, a great meditation practice. And I think meditation, like you said before, is obviously a great way to know yourself. There's so many benefits. I mean,
yep.
there's literally, thousands, I think like, hundreds of, if not thousands of benefits. But so I wanted to talk a little bit, redirect and talk a little bit about karma.
Hmm.
And karma is something that obviously, before I explain it, or you explain it, I'll talk a little bit about karma and why creating karma is essential for our lives every day, and also explain a little bit about the different types of karmas, because there's not just one type, there's different types. So if you could dive in and just explain a little bit about that.
Okay, sure. Just I thought of something with the meditation practice that I just want to go back to real quick. Is just
Hmm.
that if a person feels like they can't sit on a cushion, that's not a problem. Sitting in a chair is absolutely fine. It's
Right.
just about like sitting still and having our backs nice and straight. The straight back is really what's most important in our practice. Karma. So karma is a word that I think we hear more often than most things in any spiritual practice, right? So even people who have no knowledge of spirituality or anything have heard the word karma, like, oh, karma will come and get you, and oh, that's fine, you'll get your karma. But what people don't realize is that, first of all, karma is real, absolutely 100%. But that karma is just the consequences of our actions. So it's just, if we have positive actions, then we'll have good karma. If we have negative actions, then we'll have negative karma. It really is that simple. So it's cause and effect. The consequences of our absolute actions. So it's not always one for one. So it's not like, okay, so if I steal a piece of gum, then therefore someone's going to steal a piece of gum from me. But if I steal something, then the law of life is something will get stolen from me. It may not be today and it may not be tomorrow, but at some point down the line, something will get taken from me. And it may be of higher value than the thing that I took, or it may be of equal value. We're not, those things aren't specific,
Right.
but that's how it is. But the
Hmm.
same thing happens with the good things that we do.
Hmm.
So if we are very righteous individuals, if we are altruistic, really is the word, if we're altruistic individuals where we really are looking to always benefit others, we're helping others, we're, I don't know, people who are always volunteering, individuals who are always, we all know those people, the ones that are just always out there trying to do something good for someone else. That is also coming back to us, and that is karma, or good karma, or what we call dharma. So we're creating something that's called dharma in our life. We're creating good positive things in our life. And that's why, one of the other things, the foundations that Albert always talks about with us is that we can create our own life, and we have created our own life. And so right now we're just looking at the consequences. Like if we look around in our life and we say, I don't really love what I see. Well, these are the consequences of the actions that we've had in our past. And, whether or not people believe that this is the only life we have, it simply isn't that way. We have had lives in the past, and we may not have been the best individuals in the past, and therefore we're living out the consequences of those lives. So, it's just a matter of really taking accountability for our life and saying, I am 100% accountable for the life that I have today. And if we can do that truly, and then from here on in say, not only am I taking accountability for everything that I have done in the past, but now I'm going to take accountability, full accountability for everything I do in the future. And so if I do good things, and it's not in my mind it's good, right? Because there's a lot of steps to it, so it would take a really long time to explain it in very much detail, but
Right.
there's a motivation behind the things that we do. And so sometimes, maybe we'll help a friend out and do something for a friend, but our motivation behind doing that action is that we know we were going to get something in return from that friend. The motivation isn't great, so the dharma is not great. So
Right.
there's a lot of little steps or bullet points underneath the dharma.
Hmm.
But at the same time, we can really look to create the life that we want. So, a lot of people talk about manifestation and, you can manifest the life that you want. Yes and no, because there has to be action behind everything. So you can't just have, sit down and have these positive affirmations. I mean, maybe people get offended by that,
Yeah.
but you can't just say positive affirmations all day and expect your life to change.
Right.
That's not how
Without
your
any
life
action.
changes. There has to be action. There
Right.
has to be something where you're doing something to create what it is that you want in your life.
Right.
And again, it's very important for us to not only do that, but also take accountability for all the things that we have done in the past and that we have created around us. And so, again, if there's circumstances around us that we're like, we don't see that are so positive, then we can take them one by one and, start to really create something that is a little bit is more positive. And there's ways and there's means for us to figure out, okay, what are the tools that I need to be able to do that. And
Mhm.
again, there's a series of lectures that we give at the center that's called Wisdom of the Self, that are given in Spanish and in English. I'm one of the individuals who gives them in English, and then we have a couple of students who give them in Spanish. And that really is a foundation of so many tools that we can use to truly, truly, truly create the life that we want.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean that, today, because I've decided to take accountability for my life, then tomorrow my life is going to be very different.
Right.
It's taken years for us to get to
Process.
where we are. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely
Right.
a process. And just like what you were saying with your meditation, like, in the beginning, it's quite painful because we have to go against a lot of the things that we were doing before. So, I know that you're very much into fitness and like having a healthy body. And like, imagine all of the things that we've done to our body up until now, just using that as a very general example, all of the things that we've done to our body until now. And to say, okay, well, now I want a healthy body. And so
Yeah.
tomorrow I'm going to have it. It's
Yeah.
impossible. You
Right.
have to take the steps. You have to start
Right.
eating better. You have to start going to the gym, or maybe not the gym necessarily, but you have to start
You have to.
exercising.
Yeah.
You have to move. You have to do all those things. And the same thing is in our meditation practice and
Right.
in trying to create a new life. There are steps and it's going to take time. But
Right.
if we really, really want that, then, that's also something, our will to change.
Right.
It may be painful, like in the beginning in our meditation practice, when we sit, our knees hurt, our hips hurt, our
Yeah.
mind hurts,
Yeah.
everything hurts so much. But as long as we stick with it, we start to see the progress and we start to see the
Right.
change within ourselves. And, it's the same thing with our lives. If we really stick with it and we use the tools that we're given, we it's
Yeah.
foolproof. It really is
Yeah.
foolproof.
Yeah, so obviously, I think that sometimes people, like, we live in a society where we want quick results, and we don't realize that it's a process. It takes time, and like you said, it doesn't happen tomorrow. And sometimes people, obviously, we get so many things, like whatever we order something, it's like the next day, or this we microwave things like
Yeah.
20 seconds, things like
Yeah.
that. So I think it's the mentality we have to have. Like, we can truly change our lives. We can do amazing things, but there's a process, to life. There's a way. So I wanted to talk a little bit about. Obviously, you're somebody who takes care of her body. You take care of your mind. You take care. You eat healthy. Um, so there's people out there who, and we were in that same boat at one point. We were struggling with a lot, of alcohol. I'll speak for myself, but I was into smoking. I was eating into not really eating healthy. And if there's listeners out there who want to make a change, who want to transform themselves, and just at least slow down those habits, or eventually quit, what do you say to somebody who's in that headspace and is looking to make a change in those type of habits?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to take it one day at a time. I think that, like you were saying, this society makes us feel like everything can happen right now, immediately, and those kinds of changes aren't sustainable. So, like in an era where, unfortunately, I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday, and I was like, oh my gosh, about this mutual friend that we have. I'm like, this person looks amazing. And they were like, yeah, Ozempic. I was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, are you kidding? Like, what? Why? So, in a world where, and I don't know, there are people who are like, oh, it's great and low dose. I don't know about those things. I'm not I'm not a physician, I'm nothing like that. I'm just saying, like, it feels like a quick fix, and maybe it's not. I don't know, but that's my personal opinion. Don't come at me. But anyway, so I just think that the more sustainable results are the ones that we do day by day. So start with something really small. I mean, I used to be just like what you were saying, like, forget it. I used to drink, I smoked, all the things when I was like in college for sure. I went away and I was like, oh, my first time to be, away from family. And I was hours away from home. So no one was coming to check up on me. But I realize now, unfortunately, that I did a lot of damage to my body. I did a lot of damage to my brain with the smoking, with the drinking, with all of the things. And I try and tell my kids about those things, but it's hard to convince. I mean, it was hard to convince me, so I don't push too much. But my point is, it really has to be something where you do things very gradually, or at least in my own opinion, or how I've seen changes in my own life. Is like, take one little thing. So if you say, I don't know, I really don't love vegetables. So maybe find a vegetable that you like and start eating that. And like, maybe you'll eat it every day for a couple of days, and then, all right, I really like that. And the other thing, I guess, too, is I don't remember if this was with you that I was having this conversation, but with somebody that was like not fully into vegetables, and I was like, season your vegetables. It's like, just put some seasoning on them. Like, you don't have to eat, but because I think that's part of the problem too. Like, the things that we're eating and we see them, or when we try them, they're not very tasty. But it doesn't have to be that way. Like, we can have salmon with like a bunch of spices. We can have chicken with so many spices. We can have broccoli with like, a ton of spices. And now the internet is so easy to find recipes for different things. But I think it really is that, like, find as far as like food goes, and then like healthy habits, really just one at a time. So if you're like the type of person that sits around all day, then get out maybe once a day. Try and plan it into your day. Somebody said this to me recently, that they were starting to see that they were just like sitting all day long, because they're like, I work from home and I'm just sitting at my computer and I'm go, and by the time I look up, it's like the end of the day. And so she started to put 15-minute walks into her schedule. So it was like, it pops up and it's like, all right, go for a 15-minute walk. And she's like, it's gotten me out the door. And so you just have to like be really creative with your mind, with like how it is that you can do different things and make changes, but don't try and make all the changes at once. If that makes sense, right? I mean,
of course.
Yeah. So does that answer your question?
I think for me, it was about a process, right? Like, I understood that, we talked about before, it takes time. And I think sometimes people, what happens is they start to, for example, they want to make a difference. They're motivated the first, week, but after the first week, they go back to the old ways. So I think like building good habits is the consistency of every day, and always like, you get off track, don't get off track for too long. You might try to eat healthy, you have a bad meal, but like next time, just try to be better instead of getting caught up in that way, in the wrong habits. For people who, obviously we all go through challenges. We all go through some tough times, every single one of us. And it's not easy. Obviously, in those moments, we think the world is going to come to an end. We think like we can't get out of situations. We might be really down and out. What do you say to people who are going through tough times at the moment, and they want to just experience a better situation?
I would say, well, first of all, the last thing that is lost is hope. So just as long as you don't lose hope, as long as you feel like there's something worth saving, then you got it. Like it's hard to see people that you might think are doing really well, like in your own perception. But for one, you don't know what people are going through behind closed doors. And number two, you don't know what people have gone through behind closed doors, right? And so you can look at somebody like yourself, you've had your share of challenges, And looking at you now, you might say, oh my gosh, this guy, look how great he's doing, and he's so healthy and he's doing all the right things. But it's like, yeah, but how did I get here? It took time. It took a lot of belief in yourself. It took a lot of things, right? So I would say the last thing that's lost is hope, number one. Right. Number two, finding something, whatever it is. Like for me, it's knowing that I have my real being, that's myself, like the most divine part of myself. I've always felt that somehow inside. Like I said before, it's like I knew there was always something more, but for other people, it might be hard for them to connect with that necessarily in the beginning. But whatever it is, whether it's like you call it God, whether it's Jesus for you, whether it's life, the universe, whatever you want to call that, just connecting to something that's outside of yourself, that is a higher source, right? Something that you can connect or perceive as something greater, something that is almighty, if you can think of it, put it that way, right? And maybe that's not the best way to put it, but just something outside of yourself, because I think a lot of people really get so caught up in their own mind and their own thoughts and their own feelings, and forgetting that, for goodness sakes, like there's a whole universe out there that's functioning without us thinking. Do you know what I mean? And like Albert tells us that all the time. And it's not even about, you see those memes where you're like this little tiny person inside this big, big, big universe. Yes, that's true. But also remember that you are very small, but at the same time, this universe is functioning without us even thinking. So like, how is that happening? There has to be something so incredibly divine that is allowing all these things to function so perfectly. Our body couldn't be more perfect. If you really think about like the perfection of our body, like who thought to put our eyes the way they are, just like the molecular structure of our body, like the atoms inside our body, you know what I mean? All of those little things, incredible. Yeah. And so if we take like 2 minutes, to really just think about how incredible things are, and like outside of our own mind, if we can get out of our mind for 2 minutes and just really, really rely on that divine source, then anytime that we're feeling down or we're feeling however, like not positive, feeling like we just can't make it another minute, let alone another day, rely on that, rely on that source of strength and of encouragement. And sometimes it's another person, and I would say that's fine, for some people that's great, but sometimes that can be difficult because people tend to disappoint us, not that they're disappointed, but like, when we look at somebody else as like a higher source of inspiration, then some people are people do people things, and so maybe they mess up in something, and we can't fault them because they are who they are. And then that will bring us to be feeling like, oh, well, if they couldn't, I was looking at this person as like an example, and they faltered, or, they couldn't do it. So then what makes me think I can do it? So for me, I would personally say it's better to look at something that really is a divine source of inspiration. But if you start off with a person, then, that's fine too. But just find something that inspires you. And the last aspect I would say is do something creative, like really find a source of creativity. Because at least for me, that has been really, really helpful in moments of like extreme challenge. I'm just like, okay, if I can, I don't know, I love singing, which not like I'm the best singer in the world, but I'll sing mantras, or like back in the day, I would sing whatever songs that just like made me feel really good. And whatever that is, so like for some people that might be painting, or for some people that might be drawing or writing or journaling, whatever, something, where you feel a little bit, you get into that creativity, and the creativity comes from your heart. And that really is, at the end of the day, the most important thing, connecting back to our heart. And that's, we always say like creativity can be like a meditation for us, It's like we're connecting to that true source that's within our hearts, and
Right.
that's really what's the most important thing, you know.
Right.
At the end of the day, finding that source of love. And that's why the when I say a divine source, it really is the example of love. Like, what greater example of love do we have than the universe functioning the way it does? You know,
Right.
like, just everything is so, it's just so perfect. And
Yeah.
you know, unfortunately, we try and do so many things to make it better, which
Right.
I don't even know what we're doing. But yeah, I know, I feel like I'm so chatty.
No, no, that was a great answer. My neighbor's dog is barking, which is
I don't hear it.
oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your family. Obviously, you're
Okay.
somebody who has amazing daughters.
Mm.
You try to teach your daughters a lot of life lessons through life and situations. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, and obviously you're so compassionate. You have so many great values. You're a family woman. Um, so I wanted to kind of dive into what does family mean to you, and like why should people like connect, like I guess like why is family so important to you, and teaching your daughters the right example through life experiences.
Um, okay, so, family. Well, I have two kids. I have a 17 and a 19-year-old. My 19-year-old just wrapped up her first year of college, which is
Hmm.
so amazing. Um, and my 17-year-old is wrapping up her junior year in high school, and you
Hmm.
know her well. Chris has
Hmm.
trained her, so she's a basketball player. So we'll see what the future holds for her in that. But for me, I think the most important thing that I've tried to not just tell them, but to be an example of is love. Honestly, I mean, I'm gonna get like emotional. Hopefully not. But really, I just like I and not just. I mean, love is like the most important value of all of them. But at the end of the day, I've just tried to instill in them to always go back to their qualities, you know, to really fall back on their values, fall back on, you know, what it is to be an actual human being.
Hmm.
And I think that they've done a really, really, really good job with that. You know, like, obviously they're teenagers, they're not perfect, none of us are perfect. They have their moments where they drive me absolutely insane. But at the end of the day, I can truly say that they are really, really great young ladies. They come back and they tell me stories of, you know, like, their friends and just how they've moved in different situations, and how, you know, like, they like, it's not even tooting my own horn to say that I hear myself in them, but it's more like, oh my God, they've been listening, you know,
Oh,
like,
amazing,
you
yeah.
know, like, it's just like they'll come back and say, oh, you know, mom, such and such was going through this, and I told them, no, don't worry, you know, just listen to your heart, and like,
Hmm.
remember that you have values, and remember that you have a lot of qualities. Or I don't know, like, maybe they don't say it in those words, but those are the things that when they come back, I'm like, you know, okay,
Yeah,
it's been worth it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's been challenging, but it's been worth it. And I mean, it's so important because really, and one of the things also that we learn that is so important is just like, you have to start at home.
Hmm.
So, you know, when we say you should, you know, be a good person, create your dharma, create your life, do your meditation practice, you know, help others, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, those are all really important to go out in the world and do them. But if you don't have that at home, then what are you really doing? So you
Right.
have to start with the people that are around you, you know, really show love and compassion, and kindness and all those things to them,
Hmm.
and show them what it is to be a person who really is responsible for their actions, you know, show them what it is to be a person who creates their own life, you know, who says, I take accountability for everything that I've done up to this point. And that doesn't mean that necessarily I'm telling them, you know, oh, guys, guess what? I'm taking accountability for my life. But I am, because there's moments where I've had to apologize, and there's moments where, you know, they come and apologize, and there's moments where, you know, we all talk about things and we say, all right, how could we have done this better? What would be a better approach? Or, you know, they'll come to me and say, all right, I'm going through this. What do you think? You know, like, what should I do? And those things are really, really important, especially now as they're getting older, because the foundations have been set. Like, the foundation is laid, you know. It's like they got what they got from me, and now it's just more of a friendship, rather than like, I mean, I'm their mom forever, but I'm not, they're not 6 and 7, you know, where I'm their sole person for figuring out how to do what to do and all those kinds of things. And I really think, you know, that's how that's been for me, you know, like the foundation of my work is, if I don't have, you know, it's like we talk about sometimes that individuals or folks out there will feel like going from, well, I work from home, but like if you think about working, you know, typically before COVID, everybody worked outside of their home. You went to work, and then think about like coming home from work, and how so many people, I dare say the majority of people, dread coming home. You know, where it's like this, oh my God, okay, now I have to go home, and now I have to do this, and now I have to do that, and like, that's a terrible way to feel. You know, like your home should be somewhere where you really feel great, you feel at peace, you feel loved, you feel supported. And that's been the most important thing for me with them, and myself also, because I don't want to come home or be on my way home and feel like, ugh, I don't want to go there, I don't want to be there, do you know, or even be here. I mean, like, this isn't a place I want to be. No, I want them to feel really comfortable, like this is their home, this is where they feel the most loved. And so that when they go to build their own homes, they know what it feels like to feel good in your home, you know, where you're not like dreading to be somewhere. And like the environment that they create in their own lives is that. And that's one of the things that I've seen with them that has been like, I love them so much, they get me emotional. But that I've seen with them in their own in their relationships, you know, that they have really, really good guys by their side, you know, they really do. And, you know, no one's perfect, obviously, and I'm sure I don't know all the things about each one of them, but what I do know is that they have really good values, that they're good boys, you know, and that at the end of the day, you know, who knows what's going to happen with either one of them, but at least the values that they're building in having a relationship, you know, understanding that a relationship isn't about we're fighting each other day and night. A relationship is about building love and building trust and, you know, building something solid, rather than what you're learning on, I don't know, social media, which is like, okay, on to the next, or, you know, who cares about this one, or like, I don't know, a theme that I've seen so much on social media when like partners do like content together, they're always insulting each other. And I always like, it's so strange to me. I'm like, why, like, okay, it's funny to a certain point, but is this the way you treat each other all day long? Like, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, why can't, it's insane. But anyway, so those are all my my things with my family.
That was,
of course.
That was really awesome for you to share that with everybody. So I have two more questions.
Sure, yeah.
The one of them is, what's a message that you think the world needs to hear right now? That obviously there's a lot going on. You know, we could talk about different things that are going on. But what do you think is a message that you would like to share, and other people to know or know about? You know, a message for the world.
Yeah. I think that it's a little cliche, but I think love always wins. Love always wins. Like, it doesn't, that hope that I was talking about before, we always learn. One of the things that we were talking about before, karma. So we talk about karma, and we talk about the law of cause and effect, the law of consequences, that you create the life that you want. But we normally look at karma as something negative, or, the negative results of the negative things that we've done, basically. But love also has consequences, So why don't we start building a life where we see what the consequences of having love in our life is, Like,
Yeah.
we know what it's like to have the consequences of being liars. We know what the consequences are of being drunks, and, all these other things. So why don't we? So that would be my thing. Like, remember that love really is the answer, and that love has consequences. And so we should practice more love so that we can see the consequences of that love.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. That's definitely, we preach that a lot at the meditation center. What would it feel like to have a loving heart? What would it feel like to love? One thing that Albert said to me, or says to us, is sometimes we limit our love. We don't share with everybody. And he always preaches about how we're all brothers and sisters in this world, and how we should be radiating with love, where we see people, and we share our love with everybody. It's not just for our families or our friends, but if we could have a loving heart towards the world, and that love radiating, how much better the world would be. So
Absolutely. Wait,
yeah.
so just on what you were saying, that he always says, if we feel the way we feel loving just one person, I mean, this is something that Osho always says, but if we feel the way we feel loving just one person, imagine if we loved 2, 3, 4, everyone, like the amount of love that could feel. And I know people are, oh, that's so corny, but try it.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
definitely.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No,
What were
no,
you
no,
going to
that was
say?
great. So last question. Let's say 50 years from now, you're, I don't want to tell anybody your age, but, you're
25. Just kidding.
yeah, 20, you're at a later stage in life. I guess what would you like, what would you like to be remembered for? What kind of impact do you want to have throughout your life?
Um, the first thing that comes to mind when you say that is, I want to be remembered as a person who lived what she preached. So that's it. Like, I don't need anything other than that, like, okay, if I say you should be loving, then all right, Karuna was the example of being a loving person. Or all of the things, like, you should have a meditation practice, then, oh yeah, she would meditate, she really did. All of those things. Just a person that lived the life that she spoke about.
Amazing. Karuna, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chris. You're
Thank
the
you so
best.
much
You're
for,
truly the best.
sharing your experiences.
Of course.
Thank you so much for speaking from your heart. It's always a great pleasure. Like I said, you're one of my best friends, somebody
Absolutely.
I look up to for advice and wisdom and inspiration. And, if I have a problem, I call you, or I need to resolve something. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
It's been great. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you. It really was. Thank you for trusting me, and thank you for having me on. I know this is really special. So thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate you
Awesome.
very much.
And I'll
All
see you
right.
at meditation tonight.
See you. All right. See you later. Okay. Bye.